Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, wow, I'm a little bit early today. It's Sandy, and I decided I'm going to start being more intentional about when I come on here so we can develop a pattern and a habit and all the things. It's interesting. I talk about the masculine and the feminine in leadership, and there are sometimes I'm so in flow, which is going to be your feminine, right? Your go is going to be your masculine, that I don't work on schedules. And it drives my husband insane because he is a very structured person. If I'm too structured, I find that I feel drained. And I'm curious for all of you. For all of you that coach with me one on one or the sisterhood, you know that I talk about energy and I talk about and for you that in the sisterhood now, we have not quite gotten to this, but be prepared. We're going to talk about what drains you. There's different ways that we process energy and the way that we actually get things done. And sometimes we're going to get things done through structure first. Sometimes we're actually going to need to see the end goal before that happens. And sometimes we go right into behavior. And Dr. Epstein, who is, I've known, gosh, I met him in India when I was with Tony. And I will never forget my first experience with him, but how he has helped me understand how to process energy has been world renowned, number one, but also has served me because it goes deeper within the masculine and the feminine in the space. So John and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and he asked me if I had a copy of The Giving Tree, and I'm like, probably a long time ago when Cameron was little, but not anymore. So he ordered it, and he did this beautiful talk around it with his men's group, which I'm going to ask permission to share that with all of you here. Hey, good morning. Please say hello. And it really when I pulled it out and read it, I've I had kind of forgotten how skewed it is, in my opinion. Good morning. What do I mean by that? Well, if you've read The Giving Tree, you may remember that this sweet little boy just kept asking and asking of this incredible tree, right? And I'm not going to go into the story. I'm not going to read it here, but I'm just curious for all of you, like where, especially women, when and our toxic feminine, we will give and give and give and give and give to the point of excess. And so I wanted to point out some things that may trigger you into knowing that you might be in your toxic feminine. So one of those would be that you give to the point of excess. And like I said, John did a beautiful talk on it. So I'm actually not going to, I'm going to riff off of him a little bit, but I do want to share it with you because it actually is kind of neat coming from a man. I also like to hear John's voice. He's got this really great, deep voice, and he just delivers the story in a way that is so profound. You'll never, ever hear it the same. So, yeah, so the toxic feminine, what does that mean? It's something for many of you as you've joined this group. It's something you never even thought about or heard of. Like I've said before, anytime that we gossip, anytime that we give to the point of excess, like this incredible tree and the giving tree, where there's literally, it was a stump left. How many of you, raise of hands, can actually go, well, I have given to the point where I am exhausted. And so there are tools and tricks and practices and things that I want to give you so it will help you not be so overwhelmed. So you can actually see the bigger picture. You can see yourself already through the stress. And I will tell you, this is a daily moment to moment thing because even though I know all of these things, I can tell you that as if you saw a live that I did yesterday or the day before, I think it was Monday, on my main page, I talked about like going back to the basics. And it is so important as women for us to be moving our body, for us to be doing things, and also to have a tribe. So let me go back to the toxic space, and I'll actually have a list for you that I'll put in this post. But, toxic would be gossiping, giving to the point of excess, um, being manipulative to get your way. And I like to call it being Glinda the Good Witch sometimes because, we're being manipulative for the good because we know better. But it's still the way that we're going about doing the thing. You know, um, and a workshop is going to be coming up soon. I talk about a little bit of this, but I'll say, you think about Ruth in the Bible and you think about Delilah. They both got the guy. And so the work here in the society is not just about men and women and your relationships with your partner. It's actually like, how do we show up in the world? So to get what you want, and for many women, I work with a lot of highly successful professional women that are getting the deals done. And many of them are still quite miserable in their personal lives, and they get the thing and then they realize, like, wait a minute, so I got the thing, now what? I can relate to that too, from my past and my success in business, right? And then sometimes on the flip side, you can get the guy and you're in the relationship and you're like, this is all that is. This is all it is. Or you're like, I'm going to be happy when I have the kids, and then there's the kids. I'm going off topic, but I can because it all works, right? So, and by the way, I'm going to go a sidebar here. This is what we call a meta report. When a woman starts talking about something, or a man could do this too in his feminine, you start talking about something. So all of you today, I'm going to give you an assignment. Pay attention to how many meta reports you give, and also maybe someone you're talking to. Kids are notorious for this. You start talking about one thing, and you end up bringing in all these other different pieces to get to the point. Family Circus, a little cartoon that used to be in the Saturday comics. Little Jimmy, he would go out the door to head to the park, but he would end up going to all these different places to get there, right? That's what we call a meta report. When we are starting to tell a story and and then we end up going around the house, around the county to get there. Now, it drives men and their masculine crazy because they want, and it also drives women crazy when you're in your masculine. You're like, oh my gosh, can she just get to the point? So many of you, if you're annoyed by me right now, you might want to take a look at it and go, where else does this show up in your life where you have a friend who is just talking and very flamboyant, and you're like tapping your foot going, oh, for Jesus Christ, can she just get to the point? That's your toxic masculine, by the way. That's the toxic masculine. The toxic feminine is will go on and on and on, really unconscious, not realizing that people around her are might be falling asleep. There is something about being awakened and conscious in this space. But the meta report came around because, back in the day, if you want to go to the primal space, the concept is that we were, as the men were out there killing to feed us, single focused. We are home taking care of we are the CEOs of our hut, right? And so we were in tribe, and we needed to talk a lot to fend off attackers, so to speak, whether it be a saber-toothed tiger, a bear, a mountain lion, or maybe just a gossipy neighbor. If you all watch Little House on the Prairie, Mrs. Olson, remember Mrs. Olson? Oh, that reminds me. Think about Laura Ingalls and that. Do you remember the episode when, see Meta Report? I hope some of you are laughing right now, but this is really good. Remember, oh my gosh, Nancy, if any of you remember this, please tell me. It was Laura and it was Nellie Olson. Do you remember how there was something that happened and Nellie fell off a horse and she was in a wheelchair, and for whatever reason Laura Ingalls thought it was her fault. I can't remember the details of the story, but I remember finally, and Nellie was just manipulating the heck out of her, and Laura was the tree. She just kept giving and giving and giving out of guilt. And I don't know if the tree in the giving tree is guilty or not and had mommy issues or any of the things. I have no idea. But my point in telling you the story is for you to start being aware of, how are these little things showing up? Because if you can be aware of them, then you can shift them, right? But she gave and gave and gave and gave to Nellie, and there was nothing that she wouldn't that she would deny her of. And Nellie was just so manipulative and like that mean girl, right? Just so manipulative for whatever reason, because she could. When Laura finally got wind that, I think she peeked in her window and she saw Nellie dancing with a doll. And what she did was she took her to the top of this hill in the wheelchair, and then she let her go. And anyway, so Nellie, she was outed. Um, I'm not saying that people need to trick people into outing them or what have you, but it is interesting, right? When you finally like, aha, we've all had that. I've had a V8, and I'm not going to take another minute of this, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's a job that you don't love, whether it's your weight, right? Whether it's, finally disciplining your kids, whatever it is, we finally have that moment. And unfortunately, in the Giving Tree, the tree did not have that. It doesn't have that opportunity. Once it's a stump, it's a stump. So, where are you giving? Are you giving to the point of excess where you're just exhausted? That type of thing, that you don't put your health first. Even it's that notorious women that come and work with me initially. Now, I make it a requirement that they actually get a health scan, that they actually get the hormones checked. New clients coming in. I onboarded 2 people last week, and it is just because if your hormones are out of whack, or your gut's out of whack, if you leaky gut, which is basically your gut's your second brain, then it's going to be even more difficult for you to make the shifts that you need. So why not us go ahead and get tested? So I mean like a full panel test. So the feminine, we're all the feminine, including our men. We have it all within us. This go and this flow, as Michaela likes to talk about, or alpha omega, or feminine masculine. And it really is fascinating when you start looking at your life, and instead of saying, oh, I need to be more feminine or be more masculine, it's like, really, no, it's already in you, right? It's already in you. It's like, God's light's already in you. Are you shining it out there? So, where do you have some toxic patterns? Where are you? And remember, give yourself a break too, because if you are in this toxic space, it's just your brain trying to survive. Anything that you're doing, and this was fascinating to me when I finally got it, anything that you're doing, good, bad, or indifferent, is to survive. And the more and more, lately I've been doing more and more study on not just the nervous system, because I do with my clients, I am helping them, I say roto-rooter their nervous system so we can up level and bring in new habits. But I'm doing more on studying because my own adrenal glands and endocrine glands, at this last test that I had, I realized that I still was running and didn't feel stressed, but my body was thinking that I was. So I wanted to go deeper into that. So I've been trying some products, trying some supplements, trying some little biohacking tools, and I want to share some things with you after I really kind of get it down. There's something I've been using for the last week or so that has been unbelievable, and it is calming my brain down. You probably think I have ADD right now. And actually, I've been diagnosed with ADD. I'm okay with that too, because I get a lot of things done. I don't take medication for it. Not there's anything wrong if you do. But I do know that that with my hormone shifts and going through menopause, I haven't been sleeping as well as I'd like. And the more I learned from my doctor, that's another reason why I haven't been able to lose some of the weight that I gained during this, is because we need that deep, deep sleep. So there's other areas here, in the space. I don't want to go too long here. I just wanted to kind of wet your whistle. I wanted to get you interested, because what I'm going to have is a something for you to have a deeper inquiry into this space, so we can talk about where this shows up for you. So there's other areas where the toxic feminine will show up. So you're going to have some questions just from this space. Just because you're not sleeping well doesn't mean you have hormone problems either. But you do want to take a look at this, because when you do have more sleep, you won't be as cranky. You know, there's so much here I can teach you, and I will, about the differences between not just men and women, but the differences in the essences. One of the master classes I did is actually still on the page. You're welcome to go and take a look at it before it goes down. Because just knowing the differences between men and women is so huge. And I've told this story before. When I first was learning this work about 10 years ago, I shared it with a friend. She had four boys, including her husband. And she would get so frustrated because she would make this big meal. And then everybody would come home from school, soccer, work, baseball, what have you. Husband would come in and they go right to the pantry or right to the fridge. And they could smell the food. they knew that she'd been, cooking, and she was so disrespected by it. I mean, how many times, I know I'm guilty of this. How many times have I felt disrespected because, the men in my life, or Cameron would have his friends come over, after school or football or whatever, and then they would smell the food, whether I bought it and brought it in or whatever. They go right to the pantry. So really what it is that it literally is this. When men, the way their brain works, especially when they're younger, when they smell food, they have to eat. It really is that simple. And so when my teacher at the time said, just put some snacks out for them. And that way, if you just understand that they're not trying to wrong you, how many times as women, again, another toxic pattern, something doesn't happen the way we want it to, and then we want to think that they're out to get us. This happens with friends, this happens with partners, it happens with our children. And then it really is, even though you think you're doing it, this is where Glenda the Good Witch manipulative comes in. You think that you're doing things for their better good, helicoptering, forcing them to take supplements or whatever it is, right? Depending on their age. If they're younger, different story. But your 22-year-old son, you probably are out of that range to tell him he has to take supplements or this. If there's anything like, if you do this, I'm not going to do this, because you want to get your way. Sometimes that's manipulative. Now, for any of you that have been in my sisterhood or my one-on-ones, you know that there is a time when we are their oracle and we need to point out some things because there's been some type of infraction, or we know that something's not safe. Let me go back to Samson and Delilah and Ruth and Boaz. If you know these, I won't even say they're characters, but they're people that they talk about in the Bible. Samson, had this blessed hair, which was a superpower. And everybody wanted a piece of him. This gorgeous Adonis looking man, apparently, and this gorgeous hair that everybody wanted. And Delilah wanted him too, wanted him. And so, and then there's Ruth. And you've heard me talk about Ruth a lot. Like, are you being a Ruth? Or are you being a Delilah? Where are you motivated? Because Ruth actually wanted Boaz as well. And what happened is that one got the guy from being noble, following her creator, listening to her divine guidance, listening to the guidance within her that comes from, being connected. And then there was Delilah that wanted what she wanted when she wanted it. And eventually had his hair cut. So basically he was a slave to her. So that's one way to get the guy, right? And then the other way to get the guy is actually to learn the art of what I'm teaching you, in some of my programs and such. And here, I hope, with some of the things you're reading and listening to, is that, through not the art of seduction, where it's manipulative, not that seduction is a bad thing, but if seduction is for you to get something, then that's where the manipulation is, right? So there's an art form to this. I have a dear client that I love, and we've been working with each other for a while now. And, it takes some hiccups. It takes some time. It takes some stretching of the nervous system. It's habits. Repetition is the mother of skill, as we now are, teasing apart some other things and going into more regular practices, as she's, embarking, going out there in the world to do some habitual dating, so she can practice what it feels like to be able to reveal her open heart, stand her ground, what matters to her, and not look at men as someone to fix. Not that that's her pattern, but it is something within the toxic feminine that we think we can save the world. And we try to spit shine. Remember when our kids were younger and we take it and oh, I can get that. It is habitual. We can't even help it. I was listening to Tony Robbins this morning, and talk about going back to the basics for me. I mean, 19 years old, listening to Tony. I've told y'all this before. Had an eating disorder. 4:00 in the morning. Had enough. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. He was on an infomercial. It was that long ago, selling cassette tapes. That long ago. And I just remember, I was like, I've had enough. And so he said something on the infomercial about leverage. And if what I'm doing now is going to help me get the end goal. And what I wanted was to be able to have children one day. And I knew that if I kept abusing my body, I was never going to be able to have children. So between that and this beautiful book by Og Mandino, This is one of the most fabulous book. This book, God, Tony Robbins, helped me where 655 treatment centers did not. So anyway, so there you go. Anyway, I was listening to Tony this morning and talking about, choosing to be happy, choosing different words to be happy, to make a choice. That does not mean you're not going to have bad days. If you've been following me, I am all about feeling to heal. I want you to feel to heal. I want you to feel all the things. The key is that, are you constantly feeling depressed? Are you constantly feeling taken advantage of? Are you constantly feeling betrayed? That would be more the feeling there. Are you feeling exhausted? How are you? I'm exhausted. Are you always just so happy that you're detached from like reality? I think Zig Ziglar used to say, if someone's always high on life, they might be high on something. There's some reality there. So there are ways that you can get in touch with your emotions. So, I'm not saying that depression isn't real, and I'm not saying that betrayal is not real, and I'm not saying that grief is not real. But if it is something that's been going on, year after year after year, day after day after day, then we have to like Google map that and take a look at the habits of not just getting up and brushing your teeth and having your meditation, movement practice, devotion, what have you. It's just literally about the habits of the mind, the habits of what are you telling yourself every day. It's fascinating how fast we can get out of that. And I'm saying that as someone who has been trained under, Tony and Brendan Bouchard, Donnie Epstein, working with John Amaral, some of these big, huge, amazing names, Alison Armstrong, David Data, John Wineland, Kendra Canova, all these people. I literally, it's not just like you've read their things. I've literally been in their tutelage, and I'm so proud of myself that I have this growth-minded. My mom gave that to me. Thank you, Mama, if you're listening. But I still get stuck in it because something will rear its head, this whack-a-mole, and my brain goes, oop, you're not safe. And then there I go. So I have some things I'm going to be bringing to you. I'm curious in the comments when you listen here, please, like, I'd love to know more. I love questions. The other thing is that I really want to start doing pop-up coaching. So I'd like to, a couple of you, I think about 15 of you reached out to me about that. And I'm just going to literally put, you're going to get a questionnaire. So I know I'm prepared a little bit. Or a lot of it. And then I'm just going to pull it out of the hat. But you'll know in advance so you can pop on. And then we can, it's free. Let's do it, right? And that way I can help you specifically and you can get a feel for how I do this. That's probably my favorite thing with the work that I do is I love what I call interactives, where I get to work with you personally and we get to tease something apart and break it down and give you a different outlook. So coach is such a common name now, but it's more like this teaching space that I get in. And Bianca is one of my amazing one-on-one clients. I love her so much. And she was posting the other day, I don't even know how to describe what you do. Like, what is it that you do? So it's like this high performance embodied, coach that I don't even know if that even describes it, but it's fascinating. Anyway, I love what I do. So please, please, please take advantage of that. Right. And also I'm loving all the sacred respect gals that are coming through, and you have taken the challenge. You're taking it even more because you want more of what I offered. And that's pretty cool as well. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. You learned a lot about a meta report. I did come back to Boaz and Ruth, Samson and Delilah. So ask yourself when you're making a decision, is there a Ruth on this shoulder or is there a Delilah over here? And what's motivating you? There'll be more to come. There's so much to talk about, right? But when I saw the book out, I'm like, I want to talk about that today. So I completely changed what I was going to chat about. And check out this book. I'll link it. I'll link it. This is a great one too. I don't know if you need to read this to find out about how you can actually give to the point of exhaustion, to codependence or whatever. I think it's easy for us to, as Tony said this morning, and I agree, for us to actually access sadness, for us to access disempowering feelings over and over and over again. It's harder for us to bring in joy. I really do believe that I am an expert of bringing in joy at any given moment. And if you want more information about that, let me know. I'll send you a video. So anyway, I look forward to talking to all of y'all. Thank you for coffee. For now, I'm going to do this 9 o'clock on Wednesdays. I'll let you know if I change my mind. Who knows? And thank you for all you that are on right now and supporting me here. I like to have live people I can talk to, even if you don't say anything. And yeah, so y'all have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.